How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. It is my part 2, Week 16 NFL preview. Want to apologize for being a couple of minutes late to my own show. My washing machine is just so very loud. Got a lot of laundry going on today before I get out to my real job. So taking a couple of minutes just to get in order here. A lot of big games. Interconference and divisional all over the place that's going to be deciding a lot of these playoff positions coming down on the final 3 weeks of the season, and so much has yet to be decided. Also, a lot of big news in Major League Baseball coming out of Los Angeles that I'm going to hit on towards the end of the show. But we're going to start this up in Tampa with an interconference rivalry game between the Jacksonville Jaguars at 8-6, visiting the 7-7, currently NFC South leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers will still be in the lead in the South with a loss because of the fact that they did beat New Orleans in their first matchup. The New Orleans loss yesterday to the Los Angeles Rams allows that to be. Things are getting a little uncomfortable, though, in the AFC South for the Jaguars, who prior to the Trevor Lawrence injury had a pretty commanding lead. It was pretty amazing that he was able to come back due to the injury. My co-host just woke up. We're going to see if we get him in here. Sorry about that. The Trevor Lawrence injury kind of derailed their momentum because prior to the game against Cincinnati where he was injured, this is a team that actually had an opportunity to take the 1 seed in the AFC. And that ultimately turns into, right now, they're just trying to hold off 2 different teams, the Colts and the Texans, from jumping them. They do have a season split over the Colts, which went down early in the season, as well as a split with the Houston Texans, each winning on each other's turf. But I would say keys to victory for this game for Baker Mayfield, just continue to believe in your abilities. You know, Chris Godwin's a little dinged up. You have an excellent receiving option in Mike Evans. You got to be able to not be afraid to run the ball against Jacksonville. They do have a propensity for being overzealous on their blitz packages, and Tampa has to take advantage. On the opposite side, the Jacksonville Jaguars have some injuries in the receiving room as well. It's imperative that they keep Trevor Lawrence upright because right now the Tampa Bay defense has actually been playing very well. And I believe that this game is going to come down to potentially who has the ball late in the game. I got the Bucs winning this thing. I know that the Jaguars are one of the better road teams in the NFL, but I really do like the Buccaneers here in a close one. I'm going to go Tampa 27, Jacksonville 23. I think the difference ultimately in this game is I think Tampa wins the turnover battle. I got Trevor Lawrence getting picked off twice, and I've got Baker Mayfield maybe only making 1 boo-boo, and it might actually be something towards an end of a half where he's trying to force something down the field. But I do like Tampa for the win, which would improve them to 8-7 and set them up to actually close this division out next week against the New Orleans Saints. And they're going to be hosting that because they beat them in New Orleans earlier in the year. Going to keep it in Florida. 2 10-4 teams going to be meeting here. We've got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Miami. Last week, the NFC East went 0-4, which was shocking. I don't think anybody going into the week saw that coming. As the Dolphins go, they got to win this game. Very important for both teams because the Buffalo Bills are charging back up the ladder in the AFC East. And with a season finale game going down in Miami, the Dolphins want to have that sewed up, at least the divisional side of things. There is a possibility that they could still be in play for overall best record in the conference. Ravens have absolutely no gimme in Santa Clara. We're going to hit on that towards the end of the show. As the game goes, I think what we saw last week as football fans was that the Dallas Cowboys had a hell of a time running the football in bad weather against Buffalo. They're not going to be getting the bad weather in Miami, but you still got to throw the ball. These are 2 MVP candidates at the quarterback positions. But most Dallas Cowboy fans will tell you while Dak is having a hell of a season, you need to balance out that offense a little better. I expect a shootout here. I think both offenses are going to show up. I think you're going to see Dallas make a better commitment to running the football. On Miami's side, and the criticism that I had of them last year was that they didn't run the ball enough. This year, the combination of Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane has missed a considerable amount of time. You also have Jeff Wilson as an option. That's the old 49er connection. But when the Dolphins are running the football, they can pretty much beat any team in the National Football League when they're clicking on all cylinders. I do believe that defeat that went down a couple of weeks ago to the Tennessee Titans was a bit of an aberration, and sometimes the team needs that to wake up. I see a lot of points going up on the board here. And while Dallas does have a very good defense, I think that they're going to have some issues just taking care of business here. Even with a dinged-up Tyreek Hill, who I do believe will play in this game, I've got the Miami Dolphins winning this thing 30-24. 30-24, and we're going to set that up into OT. Yes, sir. I think that's how this goes down. I think the Cowboys take another L here. And it's tough for the Cowboys right now because while I believe on certain metrics the Cowboys might actually be a better team than the Philadelphia Eagles, I think the Eagles have the benefit of having a much easier schedule down the stretch. And I believe that that's going to come down to play. I'm sure a lot of Eagle fans were shocked that they lost that Seattle game. I picked the Eagles to win that. They did not. Got a comment flying in. Good morning, bud. Yeah, Shed, my apologies, man. With the Christmas schedules of work and with everything going on, this was literally my only opportunity to get this show going. So, yeah, I kept debating on if I was going to be able to do the show tomorrow. It just wasn't lining up. But I'm happy you're here, so please feel free to comment. And, we're going to be hitting on your game in a little bit. And we're going to get you most definitely back on towards the playoffs because obviously your 49ers have a lot of say in these playoffs. Miami for the win. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of stress, man. A lot of people get stressed about this time of the year. Just try to keep it even keel. But yeah, a lot of busyness. I'm waiting for these Amazon packages before I get out of here. Arizona taking a trip out. Here he is. Mr. Idris Salam. We're going to back it up a little because we just got done talking about your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas at Miami. Give me your prediction and how you think that game plays out, and I will put this game on hold because I don't think too many people are salivating about the Bears and Cardinals.
Oh, no, not really. I think it's going to be a good game because both teams can score points. They both got great receivers, Waddle and Hill on one side. Yeah, Gallup, CD on the other side, and Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, two of my fantasy guys, Cooks and Lamb.
Yeah, two and Dak, and I give Dak a lot of hell, but he puts up the numbers, man. He's
an MVP candidate for sure.
Yeah, he puts up the numbers. So I can't take that away. All smack aside, but Dallas has road woes, man. They can't do it on the road. I mean, they're 3 road wins: Giants, Jets, Eagles. Eagles look like,
and they didn't win. They didn't win in Philly. Hold on.
Yeah,
Giants, Eagles, and
you're right. They didn't win it. You're right.
It'll come to me, but yeah, I believe they have. What do they got? 4 L's, right? So they got a losing record on the road.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I want to say Dallas because of that defense, and God, you got Waddle and.
I also think Dallas needs this game.
They need
to have any chance to beat Philly down the stretch. They need this game, and Miami. I'll be honest. If Miami wants to avoid that showdown with Buffalo, where if Miami loses Week 18, Buffalo would have a season sweep and steal the East. This is a game Miami also needs. I expect a shootout. I don't know if you caught it, but my prediction here was Miami winning by 6 in OT. I got this thing 30-24 in Miami's favor, but I believe that a Dallas win wouldn't shock me. But both these offenses are going to go off. And even if Tyreek Hill is limited, even if for some reason he doesn't play for a consecutive week, I still think Miami will be able to run the ball, which opens up the downfield shots.
I'm going a little higher. I'm going to say 35-31.
Okay.
Um, Miami, I think Miami has a lot of gadget plays.
Oh yeah,
And they can
there's
catch
nothing in
you
their
off guard.
playbook that they're not going to attempt.
Yeah, they can catch you. And they're playing in Miami. It can go either way, but I'm going to go Miami 35-31. I think it's going to be a good game, a real good game, the loser, it's going to hurt the loser though.
I will
Either
say
way.
this. If the Cowboys are going to prove us both wrong, they need to be able to run the ball at a high efficiency because they haven't necessarily been in positions this season where they've had to run the ball. And the Buffalo game, while it's not an easy task for anyone to go into that building right now, especially because Buffalo's playing a lot better. The Cowboys just could not get it going. And while I don't see the same kind of resistance with Miami against the run, I do think Dallas will do a better job. That's part of the reason why I got it being a little high scoring. I just think in a track meet kind of game, Miami don't lose too many of those.
You know what? And they're going to attack that middle of Dallas. And Dallas, as great as they are, if you go right down the gut, and it's been proven, Arizona, Philly, even though Philly lost in Dallas, go right
the
down
the first meeting specifically, they exploited
right
that
down the middle.
And you nailed it with Jonathan Gannon doing that to the Cowboys as well.
Right down the middle. It's going to be a great game, though. It's going to be a great game.
Definitely a candidate for game of the week. First game that I covered without you, Tampa, Jacksonville in Tampa. Jacksonville's a better road team than a home team, but ultimately I picked Tampa to win this 27-23 because I feel that although I admire Trevor Lawrence's toughness coming back,
he may not be playing.
Is that right?
I heard
they might actually give him a week off, put in CJ Beathard. That's even more reason for me to pick Tampa. Not that Beathard Beathard, I should say, can't run the offense. I just think right now, at this very moment, even though Tampa's only 7-7, I think they're a better defense right now. That defense starting to show out. And the thing is, I just said it, if Tampa wins this game, they got the meeting with New Orleans in Florida next week. They wrap it up. That's the division. And they're probably going to run into the Dallas Cowboys in round one. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be a cakewalk for Dallas like it was last year because this version of Tampa's offense is better than last year.
You know something? It's like we go back to a few weeks ago. You got good Baker and you got bad Baker.
Absolutely.
When good Baker's on the field, good Baker is damn good, man.
Yeah, he does have a bit of a resume for the dramatic.
So same thing. I'm going the same thing. Even with Trevor Lawrence plays, guys, that guy's such a good quarterback. He just makes too many mistakes, man.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot right now on his shoulders. The one advantage that I would give Jacksonville is that I think Doug Peterson is a superior coach to Todd Bowles. But at the end of the day, Todd Bowles is a defensive guy, and his defense is playing. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. Jacksonville has a talented defense that, in my opinion, has been underperforming.
Yeah.
And I think Tampa could exploit that this week.
Yeah, and they got something to play for. Tampa, they're in it. They know they can win a division. They know they get a first round.
I just think they got a little more momentum right now, whereas Jacksonville's they have a lot to play for in their own right. But Jacksonville right now is a candidate that could fall all the way to third because the Indianapolis Colts, they got the advantage because they swept them. Jacksonville swept them early. Colts are playing well, and they have a so-so, and that's being polite, Atlanta team. We hit on that last show. We got Indy winning. And Houston and Cleveland, I picked Cleveland, but I'll be honest with you. I'm changing my pick. I'm picking Houston now. I think it could get very interesting the final couple of weeks of the year. 3-team race in the South. Jacksonville might be on the outside looking in. For our guy Jordan's sake, I don't wish it on them, but it's something that I do see possibly happening.
I agree with you on everything. Even with Tampa Bay winning, I think good Baker's going to come out there. We got something to play for. Let's go get it. And Baker, he's another quarterback that I said the same thing about how I felt about the other ones, but I gave him props. The guy matured, and he knows this is my shot. If I could pull this off,
Yeah, because he needed to get humbled before he got back into the relevant conversation again. Because I think some of the instant success in Cleveland got to his head, got
What about
knocked down a
Todd
few
Bowles?
pegs with.
You Todd Bowles
Go
should
ahead.
be out the door.
I don't know, man. It's a tough one because while this is not by any means the best division in the NFL, I do think there's something to be said
Mm-hmm.
for winning a division with a reclamation project at quarterback. And going into the year, Mike Evans, a lot of chatter that he wanted out of town. You still got some holdovers on that defense from their Super Bowl run.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I will give Tampa, if you look at the majority of the games that they've lost this year, they are in every game they play. They have not been run by anybody, and they compete. And they're one of those gritty teams that I do believe in the playoffs can make a little more noise than people are expecting. And I think they're the only team in the South Division that offers that.
That's why I asked, because I heard a few Buccaneers fans, how we got to get Todd Bowles? I say, Bowles is doing probably his best coaching job.
Well, this year, yes, and I'll be honest, oddly enough, he could be a candidate for Coach of the Year. But I felt going back to his first head coaching stint, I think the New York Jets made a boo-boo getting rid of him a little too early.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, going back, I think they replaced him with Adam Gase, which is a double whammy because he's one of the worst head coaches around.
That was through that. You know what gets me about Gase? That press conference.
Oh, Lord.
He looked like he was lit.
I just couldn't believe that the New York Jets wanted to mess with him after he failed in the division with Miami. It made no damn sense to me. Arizona Cardinals in Chicago. I'm going to be quick on this one. Not a lot to talk about here, but I will say this. From an excitement level, believe it or not, this could be one of the more entertaining games of the week because I have a feeling that both these teams have the potential to put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
Even with the porous weather that you could see in Chicago, I believe that Arizona still has a chance to keep them off balance on offense. We did talk about the good game play caller that Jonathan Gannon is. I do like Chicago for the home win, and I also like this game being decided in the 30s, high 20s, low 30s. I'm going Chicago Bears 31, Arizona Cardinals 24. I got the Cardinals losing by a touchdown, but I do think this is going to be a rather entertaining game.
Yeah, I'll make it brief. I say the same thing. I'm going 31-28 Chicago. I think because it'll be the home field. And I think if they went to Arizona, it'll be flipped. It's the home field. And Justin Fields finally coming on, too. He's actually
that's the real reason. I like the way Justin Fields is playing right now. That's why a lot of Chicago fans are not going apeshit about suddenly winning a lot of games and getting out of the potential for a top 3 pick because there's still plenty of talent to be had. But I don't think
they got Carolina pick anyway.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, they got So I mean, it's not going to hurt them at all. They got Carolina. Carolina was going to get the first pick.
Oh, that's
likely. So
just answer that one for me.
Yeah, the good thing about it is they can win out, and still have the top pick. They got Carolina. Oh, they fleeced Carolina, dude.
Yeah, and then when you consider how bad Carolina looks at the quarterback position, it's not all the kid's fault. There's a lot of other issues there, but my God, bad team in a bad place, and they fired another head coach this year, so the wheel keeps turning in Carolina. A once very proud organization is really hit on hard times, and you can't talk about an organization that has fallen without mentioning these guys. New England Patriots, Sunday Night Football, sporting an uncomfortable 3-11 at Denver, who is really on the doorstep of either falling out or getting in. I don't think this is a gimme for Denver because of the sheer fact that New England consistently this year has played good defense regardless. And Bailey Zappi has played considerably better than Mac Jones. But having said all that, I just don't see a logical scenario where the Broncos are going to drop the ball in Mile High, knowing that some of these contenders are going to be falling this week, and they are right in the mix. And not to mention, it's almost like a demand of a refocus after what we saw what the Detroit Lions did to them. in prime time, just really whooped them on every phase of the game. I expect a decent chess match regardless, because this is still Bill Belichick versus Sean Payton. I think points are going to be at a premium, but I just have the feeling that Denver just will have the better way of being able to score these points. Denver's defense, kind of a mixed bag. Certain weeks they look terrific. Other weeks they can't stop the run. And then ultimately they get shredded downfield for overcommitting against the run. I like the Broncos here. I'm going to go 24-17. But I think the difference in this game is going to be that the Broncos do not have any turnovers, whereas I think the Patriots might put the ball down a couple of times. And the other aspect of this, where it actually could end up being worse, you know what, back that up, 24-10, Ezekiel Elliott starting. And no knock on Zeke, but he's not Ramondre Stevenson. And I feel that if Denver could put 8 to 9 in the box, kind of slow down the Patriot run game, and I like Bailey Zappi, don't get me wrong. I just think that he's going to be put in a position to make too many mistakes.
First of all, about Sean Payton, I've never been a fan of him.
No, me neither.
But I like him. I like him now because you know why? He held Russell Wilson accountable. That's something Pete Carroll wouldn't do.
Yeah, Pete Carroll. That wasn't.
And I think that right there bodes well with the team. It's like we're going to get behind this coach because he's showing us that he's not going to let Mr. Hollywood come in here because he took his parking space away. He did all. He said, "Nah, this is a football team," and I respect him for that because we don't have coaches like that who's going to check.
They're a dying breed.
Yeah, who's going to check the star player. That's why I like Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
As for the game, I think Zeke is going to have a good game. I watched him over the last 3 weeks, and he's seen the finest leg. He's catching a lot of passes out the backfield. Bailey Zappi, I think he should have been in the game, been on the field weeks ago.
Probably a month earlier. I think part of that was New England was tanking without totally acknowledging it. And this Belichick thing is an ever-moving story. It looks like this really might be the wind-up and the way out for Bill. It looks like it's over.
Yeah. But I think in Denver, Denver got their act together. Like I said, they're hot and cold. You never know what's good. I mean, but they've been playing a whole lot better now than they played when they first started. So I can give them the props. But I'm going to go Denver 28-17. Yeah. Yeah. I just think Denver has too much for them.
And just another thing too, historically with the New England Patriots, they have always struggled in Mile High.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the Peyton Manning era. I'm talking about even the Jake Plummer era.
Yeah.
Jake Plummer as a Bronco has a win over Tom Brady in the playoffs. I'd be lying if I could totally off the top of my head tell you how Bledsoe made out when he was the Patriot quarterback, but I will say that historically not a place where the Patriots usually win.
Yeah. And Mile High is Mile High. I mean,
no question. Timeless old school AFL rivalry here. Raiders, this is more about pride. They're a little too far back, in my opinion, to do anything on the upswing. And I think it's the get right situation for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 9-5. And, we've been saying it in recent weeks. Things have not been easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do think Antonio Pierce is doing an admirable job, unfortunately, I don't think he'll be retained by the Raiders. And I don't even think it's because of job performance. I think it has more to do with the rarity of how many options in the coaching realm you're going to have. And I'll be honest with you, I don't believe that Belichick goes to I always do that, to Los Angeles.
They need to go back.
Yeah. I think Harbaugh is going to go to Los Angeles, and I think it's what ultimately keeps Justin Herbert there. But if Bill Belichick coaches in 2024, the more I really think about it, the Vegas Raiders might make the most sense. And while I'm sure New England would prefer that he goes to a interconference team out of the conference. I believe that this is a very rare situation, similar to the guy who he's coaching against, Sean Payton, where you could see a trade where the Patriots, are in a good position to acquire a lot of draft capital and a team that is on hard times. Because this is the thing. I think if New England approaches Belichick and says, listen, it's not about your coaching, it's about your general manager situation, I can't see a scenario where Bill would be welcome to being demoted and still coaching the team. No. It's kind of like the old adage that Parcells, who was his teacher, was like, you want me to make the meal, you got to let me get the groceries.
Right.
But to be fair, Belichick hasn't been doing a lot of good shopping.
If we have enough time at the end of the show, I want to speak about the coaching switches. But I agree with you on that. The Raiders, I kind of want to pick them. God, this is where Kansas City has to do their thing. They have to because Denver's sneaking up on them.
Yeah, well, Denver's loss last week gave Casey a little more breathing room.
Yeah.
But I will say this, though. Shed makes a good point there about Josh Jacobs having the ability to keep Mahomes off the field last time. He might not even play. Aiden O'Connell, this is not a good matchup this week for the Raiders. I think Travis Kelce has that blow-up game that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, and like we spoke about last show about the situation with Kelce and Taylor Swift and Al Michaels. The team went to Hollywood. To Hollywood. And it's showing. They're not. I mean, I know they don't have what they had last year on the field, but they look average at best.
I think it's a little bit of everything. And like I said, with the helmet incident, with Mahomes losing his temper, I do think a lot of it is a reflection of just how difficult this season has been for them on the whole, because Mahomes is not used to the enormous amount of drops that he gets from his first, second, and third receivers. I mean, Kelce still sure-handed, but even he has had moments of lack of concentration. The Eagle game, he essentially gave that game to the Eagles.
That game away,
And then, not to mention that at the end, you still had a chance, and MVS drops a potential game winner. Chiefs just don't have that look to them this year.
Don't forget about Kadarius Toney. We gotta mention him, man.
Oh yeah.
We can't talk about Kelce dropping and MVS dropping and not talking about Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney.
I'm being facetious,
a guy that talks no, there's nothing facetious about it. Like Kadarius Toney, for a guy who's constantly running his mouth, a guy who pretty much since being drafted by the Giants, which was a mistake on Dave Gettleman's part, I'm happy that they shipped him out. And don't get me wrong, he's a weapon. And, he had a massive punt return that did help Kansas City win that game last year. And he had a couple of moments, but it's just, on the whole, he's not a good teammate. And the reason why I say he's not a good teammate is because he doesn't do the extra work to perfect his craft. He wants to be a rapper. He wants to be all up in the social media. I don't think that he truly takes his real job, what really pays him, all that serious. And I know that while a lot of people might not like Mahomes, and I'll be honest, I'm tired of his bitching and moaning myself.
Yeah, me too.
One thing I will give him, he puts in the work.
Yeah.
So if others aren't following, in that regard, he's very similar to a Tom Brady, to a Peyton Manning, to a Brett Favre, and to an Aaron Rodgers in terms of game preparation.
That's why I didn't have a problem with him, what he said, his emotions, because I need to see that out of my quarterback. I need to see him like, look here, y'all. I can't teach y'all how to catch the ball. Blah, 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 blah. That's what I want to hear. I can't teach you guys. I'm not going to throw like Brady said. I won't throw you the ball if you're not putting in the work. And like Michael Jordan said, and Kobe Bryant, I'm not passing you the ball if you're not putting in the work to get the ball.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah, but I got KC winning. Also, let's say, I think this will be a big one for them. I think they'll jump up there. Let's say 31-17.
I think 31-17. I think it might even be worse. I'm not quite sure You know what? Yeah, I'm going to give it to them. The Chiefs break 40.
Yeah, I see it.
41-20 in favor of the Chiefs. And a cool caveat to this game is that Steve Spagnuolo, I'm sure, will get to reignite a friendship, that's enduring. Because when you win a Super Bowl together, you're linked for life. And Antonio Pierce, who was a huge part of the first Giants victory over the New England Patriots, the undefeated New England Patriots, Spags was the DC for that first Super Bowl. Yeah, those two will always be linked on opposite sides, but it's cool, and I love AP. I don't envy his position because it's hard to take over a dysfunctional situation because since they got rid of Bisaccia, everything has been on the downslope.
Yeah, and I think that was a bad decision anyway. The players loved him, dude. They played for that guy, and they get rid of him.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure the guys like Antonio Pierce, but I don't think it's the same kind of energy because you lose a veteran leader like a Derek Carr. Devontae Adams came there literally to play with Derek Carr. He probably is going to try to find his way maybe to MetLife Stadium to link up with his buddy Rodgers next year, one would think. Maybe New Orleans. Maybe he does link up with Carr in New Orleans. That's not off the table either. But the Raiders are just a bad organization right now. And the kid doesn't have that same drive like the dad. And damn well, we talk about this with the Yankees enough. But it's a similar situation. And, Raiders going to have a long day. And our guys, speaking of long days, could be similar.
Before you talk about that, you could say that about our team, too, with Wellington Mara to John Mara.
Absolutely.
Wellington Mara was like, look here, get shit together. Yeah,
I mean, it was a different kind of demand, even with the matriarch.
Yeah,
she too was an all business type.
Yeah,
that did not settle for mediocrity. And the New York Giants at 5-9, it speaks mediocrity. Victims of injuries and a very tough schedule this year. They're not eliminated yet, but this loss would do it. Traveling to Philly, 10-3 Philadelphia Eagles. This is the second oldest rivalry in the NFL. The Eagles are enduring a 3-game losing streak, but the reason why I don't believe the Giants can win this game is similar to the reason they couldn't beat the Saints. The Saints had a banged-up secondary. The Eagles' secondary is not playing that great, but I don't believe that the Giants have the offensive prowess to expose those things. There's always a puncher's chance because of the fact that the Giants' defense plays hard, and I do believe that the Eagles' offense has been struggling, and in that regard, it's kind of a coincide where you're like, wait a minute, maybe Devontae Smith injured, might not play. That's another interesting caveat. It's the knee, don't know the severity, but you still got to deal with A.J. Brown. That would bump up Quez Watkins. You might activate Julio for this one. You got Dallas Goedert. They still got a litany of weapons, not to mention, even though they are in a slump, in order for the Eagles to win this game, you get back to your basics. You run the football. You tire the Giants out. And when the appropriate time comes, you try to test maybe Adoree Jackson, stay away from Tay Banks. If Kayvon cannot have his kind of signature game, the Giants do not have a chance. And my bigger worry on the offensive side of the ball, in addition to keeping that Eagle front seven off of quarterback Tommy DeVito, I'm also concerned in terms of my fantasy league about starting Saquon Barkley. I am still on the fence about this. I did pick up Ty Chandler from Minnesota. This is literally a game time decision for me. I'm going to go with my gut when it comes. I have not made the decision to bench Saquon yet because even in a blowout or even in a game that might be out of reach, the danger of benching a guy like Saquon is he's a guy who gets a lot of dump downs.
Yeah.
Because every time that man will touch a ball, that's a point here. And those are the cheapy kind of points. But Saquon historically, with the exception of maybe 2 games, has not had signature games against the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of that has to do directly correlated with the fact that the Giant O-line has been bad and the Eagles front seven has been good. But while I don't think this is going to be an utter embarrassment, I do believe the Philadelphia Eagles, this is a get right game, and they're going to get right. Philadelphia Eagles 30, New York Giants 17. I think the Giants will fight, but for 2 consecutive years, the Philadelphia Eagles will end the New York Giants season.
Just get it over with, man. I'm talking about the playoff.
I get it. No, I get it. I mean, at this juncture, it's almost it's a sign of the times because friend of the show, Sergio Rodriguez, I'm sure would agree with this comment I'm about to make. Mm-hmm. The reality is there's a lot of middle of the road to bad teams in the NFL. Then there are good ones.
Yes.
This year is a glaring example of that. And the New York Giants are literally on the lower end of the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I will make no excuses. You know, last year was a very nice treat. It was an overachievement. But this year, the schedule was ranked as the league's toughest. And, you know, you lose your starting quarterback. You lose your backup quarterback. You get a little excitement with DeVito. And it's not all bad because, you know, New York Giants lose 2 of their next 3. And I'll be honest, they're not going to win another game this year because I don't see a reason how the Giants have beaten the Rams in Jersey for their home finale or second to last game at home. I just don't see it, bro. I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you 100% on everything.
5-12 gets you a very good draft pick, and the Giants can start figuring out the future because the beauty of this league is that you could turn things around rather quickly. This is a good – they have good pieces on this roster. They have to finalize this roster, and year 3 is where that usually happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, you know me, I don't like tanking. I want us to win.
Of course.
But the reality is we got 2 games with Philly. We got the game with the Rams, and those are losable games.
When you don't beat the Saints,
a
team that has their fair share of imperfections, there's no reason to believe. I know, I get it. Any given Sunday, there's no reason to believe that they're going to beat the Eagles twice and the Rams once and sneak in at 8-9. It's just too much of an ask. They're not. And I'm being honest. The high that we saw on Monday Night Football. That was the last game Giants going to win this year because even if you revisit that game, I love what DeVito did.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what the defense did for the most part. But you still had enough blunders in that game where you almost gave it away. And that has also been a thing plaguing the Giants over the last few years.
You know what? And I'm going to let you know I'm going with Philly anyway. Score 31-17 Philly. But for me to close on that is I don't think with the Giants, I don't think we're that far away in terms of pieces because we know we need a right side of our offensive line fixed. I like I call him John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith, but I like John Michael Schmidt.
Yeah,
I think he's
him and Thomas are the only 2 that deserve to be starting next year. But an interesting caveat: Bobby Johnson's got to go. Because when you look at a lot of the offensive line coach of the Giants, because when you look at a lot of these players, John Feliciano got moved more in on the line. He's doing an excellent job for the 49ers. There were other offensive linemen. We cut Kevin Zeitler. Interestingly enough, Kevin Zeitler might be returning to the Giants next year. He's been linked as a free agent target. But you got to draft the right tackle, and the guy that I want is Joe Alt. I would go quarterback in round 2. We'll see how it plays. But, as the Eagles go, do I think beating the Giants rectifies all their issues? No. Do I think winning the East rectifies all their issues? No, not at all. And I will say this. If Dallas loses this week and Detroit wins, that game next week in Dallas is going to be massive because the Detroit Lions – people are not really thinking about this. They still have a shot at the 1 seed because San Francisco does not have a walk in the park.
Oh shoot. You said something, and I was going to add on to it, but I forgot.
It's all good, bro. You rolled out of bed and came on in. It's all good.
At least I did brush my teeth.
Hey, God, I do that, bro. Monday Night Football. This is the real Monday night game. Sheds 49ers are hosting.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. You know who Philly reminds me of?
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings of last year.
For a while, I said it was this year's Lions. Now it's starting to look like this year's Eagles. But yes, I do agree.
Yeah. But
San Francisco 49ers are heading into a potential Super Bowl preview here. I have stated for weeks that I believe the NFC is stronger than the AFC, and I think this is where it could be an example. I expect a very closely competitive game. I love the coaching aspect of this game. Mm-hmm. I just think the 49ers have all the weapons you need to make it happen. But I do think two featured players in this game that are both going to have nice days. Isaiah Likely, who is one of the better backup tight ends, who now gets the grand opportunity with Mark Andrews out for the year. I think George Kittle has the ability to have a blow-up game. And while I do like what Baltimore has done on defense, I just think the 49ers have too much for them. And I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I got the 49ers by 4, 34-30. I don't think by any means this is going to be a walk in the park. While both these teams have very good defenses, I think the offenses are going to outshine the defenses. And I think 49ers get the 4-point victory. But I will say this. I think Lamar Jackson plays well. I just think Brock Purdy plays a little better.
I'm going to go 31-27 Frisco because they're playing in Frisco. And like I said, I'll keep it brief. I think with Baltimore, with Isaiah Likely balling out, just imagine what they'll be next year when Mark Andrews come back, and now you got Likely excelling.
Oh yeah.
Baltimore's going to be tough next year.
I don't think I don't know what Baltimore's ceiling is. I guess everybody would assume Super Bowl appearance to see what happens, but I just have this very real suspicion that the Super Bowl that we almost got for the first 4 years of the 90s is finally going to happen. It's going to be the 49ers and the Bills. Chris Berman would get a chuckle out of that because,
my goodness.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I just like what I'm seeing from Buffalo right now. They got that look like all the past heartbreaks and even this current year with all the adversities. Were it not for Tyler Bass missing some bad field goals.
Oh, my goodness.
And were it not for 12 men on the field against the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills right now would be right in the mix for the 1 seed.
And another overtime loss.
Yeah. It's just,
that Josh Allen took them down the field.
They've been on the wrong side of a lot of things, but right now is what matters. And right now they're clicking. And in my opinion, they are the most dangerous team in the AFC.
With Buffalo, they don't have that target on them now because Miami has that target.
Miami might get sniped out. Miami might get sniped out.
They got the pressure on them. So now Buffalo can play like, okay, we're sneaking up.
No doubt.
But as for this game, like I'm with you with I'm going to go to 49ers 31-27. I think it'll be a real good game.
Yeah, I expect a good one. Before I get out of here, I got to ask this to the viewers as well as you, Idris. Have the Los Angeles Dodgers gone too far? Mookie Betts, franchise cornerstone piece for the rival Red Sox, controversially traded. Now, 2 of the 3 guys that Boston got in the deal are currently employed by the New York Yankees. That would be Alex Verdugo. That would be Jeter Downs. With that name, you got to be a Yankee.
You got to be a Yankee.
Verdugo said when he was pissed when he found out he got traded because when you're entrenched in the rivalry, he's like, really? But he said when guys like Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and Rizzo were reaching out, he says, hey, man, they're welcoming me with open arms. I'm a Yankee. Right. Let's do it. And obviously, a day later, you acquire Juan Soto. But this is a different kind of acquisition because I already stated the Mookie Betts trade. They paid big money to pry Freddie Freeman out of Atlanta, and some of that was due to a very controversial thing with he and his agent. Now, superstars galore on that roster, but now you're talking about this generation's Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
And now Yamamoto, fellow countryman, joining him. A man who has not pitched in Major League Baseball yet, getting the over $300 million contract. Shohei is a $700 million contract, which is flipped back where he gets paid post contract, all the fatness of it. And that, ladies and gents, is a great way to manipulate the luxury tax thresholds to keep the Dodgers relevant. So Shohei, in that regard, unselfish in the sense that he wants to win. But this is my thing, Idris.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that has only won a pandemic World Series. This is a team that, outside of that pandemic World Series, last won in 1988. And now the Shohei thing. Yes, he's a phenomenal talent. I consider him a top 5 offensive weapon and a top 10 to 15 pitcher. Mm-hmm. But what winning value has he brought to any team he has currently played on at the major league level? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I was surprised at Yamamoto. That surprised me. I did not expect that.
I honestly thought he was going to choose the Mets, but I'll be honest, when I saw on IG the picture with him and Shohei together, I was like, it's about to happen.
It's a wrap, yeah.
It wasn't the same way I felt on a lesser level when Odell was courtside with Dallas Cowboys. I saw that more as just dudes hanging out.
Yeah, but this, Japanese, you see them guys together.
The reason I thought the Mets had a shot is because of Kadai Senga.
Okay.
Being one of the bright young arms. And there was also rumors that he did not want to be Yamamoto didn't want to be in the shadow of Ohtani. But I'm going to say this right now. No, I'm not giving you a World Series prediction yet. But I'm going on a limb, and I'm going to say this, and I'm actually going to mean it when I say this. The Atlanta Braves might win the National League. Philadelphia Phillies might win the National League. The Los Angeles Dodgers, I guess you have to say they might win the National League too. I'm just going to say it. To say what I feel. The Los Angeles Dodgers will not win the World Series next year.
I agree.
And when you consider what they're paying, that's $1 billion for 2 players. One of them needs Tommy John surgery if he wants to keep pitching. Come on, man.
That was the clincher for me when they gave him. I mean, good for Shotani. I call him Shotani. Good for Shotani that he backed that money up at the end.
Right.
I mean, he got a next thing like, okay, but when I retire, but my money's right there waiting on me. But needing Tommy John surgery, or possibly that's going to affect your pitching regardless.
Bro, and don't get me wrong, guys like Verlander, many a pitcher, have come back from that and been better.
Yeah.
But the thing with Shohei, I don't think he's as great of a pitcher as everyone says he is. When you're on a rotation that has nothing else, you're going to get the front head of it. I'm not trying to shit on the guy.
No.
I think in most rotations, he's a number 2, which is still pretty damn good considering that he's a top 3 to 5 offensive weapon in MLB.
Mm-hmm.
The two players offensively, just the whole package that I would put ahead of him, non-pitcher, just talking about position players, Ronald Acuna Jr. and our captain, Aaron Judge.
Yep.
After that, I do feel comfortable putting Shohei offensively probably at number 3, but I'm sorry, man. It's absurd. And if the Dodgers don't, what's it, a 10-year deal for Ohtani?
10-year deal, yep.
If the Dodgers don't win 6, it's a failure. At least 5.
You know what? With Shotani, the thing about it is, if he has Tommy John surgery, you're basically losing 2 players.
Yes,
you're losing your batter and you're losing your pitcher. You're losing 2 players off your roster.
I'll tell you what, though, I already circled my calendar for that 3-game set against the New York Yankees. That is going to be exciting.
That's going to be crazy because I don't like.
And there is a part of me. There's a part of me that wants to see the Yankees and Dodgers get it on. 3 World Series that they met in most recently, 78, 77, as well as 1981 with the Yankees winning 2 of those 3. So much to be discussed, so much to be decided. Baseball's around the corner, and so is that hip-hop show. Until next time, for Mr. Idris Salam, I am Richie, and I have got to get the hell out of here because I am about to go to my other job.
All right.
Good day, everyone. And even though it's a slim chance, go Giants.